Okay guys, it's been a little while. I got a little bit lazy over the holidays, had a few other things happen, but I'm back at it here. This video, just putting in the flooring and getting ready to do the framing inside the building. Something I really liked about this flooring, it's a vinyl plank, and it has the underlay material directly attached to the bottom of each plank, so I didn't have to lay down any form of a padding underlay or anything. I also like the click together type because it's really quick to put together, so doesn't require any fancy tools. Pretty mindless to do. The only real trick to putting this together is making sure that you get all your joints tight before you start the next row. And well, not really important, but I like to have a randomized pattern for the planks. So all I did was I started with a full plank, went over to the end, cut it off wherever it ended, used that cut off piece for the start for the next row, and it just happened to be the right length of a building that it was a random pattern the whole way. I don't remember if I mentioned on the last video, but the plywood on the bottom 8 feet of the walls on the ends there is what helps tie the arches into the base plates that I nailed down. Also keeps everything aligned correctly at the bottom of the arches since I don't have any blocks. It also gives me a space in which I can attach anything to the walls. Progress at my property here has been a little bit slower in the last few weeks here. My wife has really bad sciatica pain right now, so she's unable to do a lot, and I've got to make sure I take care of the kids so that she doesn't have to strain herself. I might have mentioned before, but all these past videos I've been doing are usually a few months prior that I recorded them. So even this video here was probably, I would say, 3 months prior to like when I'm posting it now. The biggest downfall to doing the flooring would just be the hard on your back from leaning over all day. Could be hard on your knees, I guess, too, but it just depends how you sit, I guess, when you're doing the work. It's nice to have the girls come by, visit me when I'm working. Sometimes it gets a bit boring when you're there by yourself. I think they like to get out and check things out anyways. At this point here, I was getting pretty excited that I wouldn't have to move my appliances around anymore. With the flooring installed, I'd be able to eventually just set them in their home and let them stay there forever. I guess I should mention that the reason I'm putting the flooring down now before I do all the framing, since I have the hydronic tubes in the ground, I'm not going to be nailing anything into the concrete so that I don't hit any tubes. and I figured it would just be easier to put flooring into one big square rather than trying to go in and out of doorways and all of that for just extra hassle. It's nice when I have my brother here come out help me. Having a second person to just help streamline the process is really nice. Get a lot more done in a day. In the instructions they say that I'm supposed to have a extremely clean surface to install this flooring over top. But I just swept all the loose debris off and scraped any adhesives or anything that might have gotten onto the ground, just so that I had a nice flat surface. Originally I had thought the concrete was finished quite flat in the building. I mean, from an eye standing walking around, it looks pretty flat, feels flat, but when you're installing the flooring, you could definitely see the small highs and lows that there are all over the place. It's not a big deal. It's just a eventual garage, so it's not a problem, but just things you don't notice. If my voice sounds a little bit different in this video, I ended up picking up a new microphone. It's not built into my headset anymore, and I'm also got some kind of a nasal congestion. I definitely noticed that this new mic picks up every noise in the background. But the sensitivity is really nice, so that I don't have to monkey around in the video editing settings to get it to the correct volume. I always make sure that after I put each layer in, I run along with the plastic block there and the hammer, and I just tap everything in to make sure it's all settled so I can start the next row. Now that the building there actually has insulation on all the sides, it's way more comfortable to work in here. When the days get really hot, it doesn't get crazy hot in here. Once I'm able to block a lot of the sunlight coming in from the south side, it'll actually be really nice, I think. At the end here, this last little strip was a rip strip, so I just grabbed a bunch of pieces, however many I needed to do the total length, and then we just put them to the table saw and cut them a little bit short so they were a little easier to install, and that was that. So the main reason why I'm adding the drywall over top of this plywood is for fire protection, seeing as most of the things that happen are going to be down on the main level. It just makes sense to have a little bit of added fire protection. This also gives a nicer surface for me to finish and paint while we're living here. using 12-foot sheets here. A little bit nicer when it comes to finishing, then I don't have to do as many joints, because I'm absolutely terrible at drywall finishing. I've done a fair amount of it in my life and I'm still bad at it. It's just one of those parts of the project that I don't like doing. You see, I got the trickle charger on top of my battery there. I wasn't paying attention to the settings on my inverter, and the battery ended up dying. So it wasn't dead, but it was below the low voltage cutoff. So I was trying to trickle charge it there to taking a charge, but it did not end up working. I had to do a hard reset of the battery management system. The BMS does not let any voltage through once it gets below a certain voltage. Here I am taping the vapor barrier that was underneath the slab to the walls, which is the foam, and the foam is the vapor barrier for the end walls. And I just tape all the joints and any holes that I might have made from just moving things around. I always make sure to give myself at least a half-inch gap on the bottom of the drywall there. On the other side here, this is where the hydronic tubes come up, so I wanted something I could attach the pumps and everything else to. So I got some 3/4 inch plywood here that I attached as a backing. Last thing for this video is just setting up a ledger board here on the end so that I can attach my floor joist eventually too. This is just going to be a double 2x6 eventually. Then I'll mount some metal joist hangers on there. I'm using the 6-inch long structural screws right now. That's everything.